Hey everyone, Wolf Lord Rho here. Today we are discussing why Belisarius Cawl will now be creating Traitor Geneseed Primaris, and how the Lord Commander Roboute Guilliman may just have allowed it. Okay, so to sum up for those newer fans to the Warhammer 40k universe, the Adeptus Mechanicus Archmagos Belisarius Cawl is the creator of the Primaris Marines. Upon Roboute Guilliman's resurrection and return to the galaxy, it was revealed that in the wake of the Horus Heresy 10,000 years ago, upon Guilliman's original appointment as Lord Commander, he secretly tasked Belisarius Cawl with improving upon the Emperor's original Space Marine design. And now, after 10,000 years of hard work, not only had Belisarius achieved that goal, but he had an entire founding of them ready to go. And thus the Primaris were unleashed upon the galaxy, with the Ultima founding. This of course created a huge amount of shockwaves outside and within the lore, with the Imperium being pushed close to a nigh-on civil war, with many feeling tampering with the Emperor's original creations was heretical, a blasphemy. And for all the much-needed relief these reinforcements provided, they faced a fair amount of hostility too. And it wasn't just on the surface level that we saw these intriguing storylines being developed either, because within the Space Marine Codex, showcasing and highlighting some of the glorious new Primaris chapters that had been made, there was a chapter that appeared to have startling similarities to the traitor Emperor's Children. Listed as an apparent Imperial Fist successor, there was a chapter named The Sons of the Phoenix, a clear nod to Fulgrim's title of the Phoenician. And what's more, their colour scheme just happened to use the old purple of the Emperor's Children to boot. And this teaser the fanbase then became further developed within the novel Dark Imperium, where in a private conversation between Roboute Guilliman and Belisarius Cawl's AI machine of the Cawl Inferior, we saw Roboute Guilliman having to forcibly deny the Archmagos' requests to use the original Geneseed stores of the Traitor Primarchs. Furthermore, he has continued experimental implementation and monitoring of the thus far unused Geneseed in experimental test subjects. That of the 2nd, 3rd, 4th, 8th, 11th, 12th, 14th, 15th, 16th, 17th and 20th Legions all shows no sign of degradation or incidents of unwelcome tendencies within the recipients. All is well, my lord, Archmagos Belisarius Cawl reassures you. He is so satisfied that I am instructed to repeat his request that those gene lines be put into full production and be allowed to serve the Imperium as the Emperor intended. No, said Guilliman firmly. I cannot allow it. My lord, the characteristics of your brothers are too valuable to discard. The Emperor's original schema of warriors bred to specific purposes is sound and should be exploited. Under the current circumstances, we are operating with half our weapons unavailable to us. The Omnissiah's plan is unbalanced. Putting the remaining 11 augmented Primaris gene lines into production would allow far greater tactical and strategic flexibility of Space Marine forces, particularly when working in concert. I say again, no. Do not progress any further with this research. The warriors were not at fault. The science is not at fault. Their Primarchs were. Chapters from your gene line have also fallen in the past millennia, Lord Regent, and we do not censor them. I said no, said Guilliman forcefully. There was a silence full of hums and clicks. As you command, my lord, said the machine eventually. Archmagos Belisarius Cawl will comply. Can I truly believe that? Thought Guilliman. All magi of the Adeptus Mechanicus hungered for knowledge. When they had it, they could rarely refrain from using it. On this particular matter, he did not trust Cawl one whit. And so this really upped the ante, so to speak. Made it feel like the Sons of the Phoenix surely were a secret experiment by Cawl. And it's all been a bit of a mystery on whether or not Belisarius did or would heed Guilliman's command here. Feeling, in truth, pretty unlikely with what we know of Cawl, as even Guilliman admits there with his faults. Quite simply, Belisarius's ego and obsessive nature mean he most likely would never be able to heed Guilliman's opinion, believing that he himself knew best. Which is perfectly displayed by a statement from Belisarius Cawl within the novel Genefather. The Lord Guilliman is the most noble and loyal man in the entire Imperium. But he's a bit naive, and certainly too principled. Best to let him know what he needs to know. Which for me really adds weight to the notion that Cawl does a ton of things regardless of Guilliman's opinion, regardless of Guilliman's orders, and absolutely including using the Traitor Geneseed. It's pretty clear from Cawl's attitude. If he thinks he's right, he's going to do it regardless, even in defying the Primarch and Lord Commander. And this is where we hit the nail on the head for the specific topic today, on why Belisarius will be creating Traitor Geneseed Primaris now, and how Guilliman has allowed it. With Belisarius already most likely having been doing it in secret anyway, defying the Lord Commander, we then have this recent request from Guilliman in a message to the Archmagos, in the novel Genefather as well. Therefore, I request that you dispatch one of your most trusted servants to Imperium Nihilus in your stead. The status of most Space Marine chapters on the far side of the Rift is unknown. The unnumbered suns are largely disbanded. I run out of your Primaris Marines to give Cawl. I require an expert to bring the chapters in Nihilus back up to full strength as quickly as possible. Standard torchbearer fleets will not suffice alone. Make more Primaris Marines. Send me a Genitor of Genius. I care not to the methods, only for the results. Did you notice the key part there? Make more Primaris Marines. I care not to the methods, only for the results. Make more Primaris, and I don't care how. Guilliman, inadvertently, admittedly, has just given Belisarius Cawl all the permission he needs, the excuse he needs, to go full production with the Traitor Primarch Geneseeds. We have seen how Cawl's ego and arrogance is something that dwarfs even a Primarch. How he has been eagerly experimenting with traitor gene lines despite being explicitly told not to. How he has argued his case that the Imperium and the Emperor's design needs those lines to function optimally, correctly, as the Emperor intended. And now in his desperation for more men, more Primaris, Guilliman has just made the ultimate mistake in telling Cawl, I don't care how, just get me those numbers. It's a slip of the tongue maybe, or more likely a poorly phrased statement, but it's one that you just absolutely know that Belisarius would latch onto, use to his advantage, despite having been previously told no, categorically. He can now say, well, you told me to do whatever I had to do, that you didn't care about the method, so I did what I had to do. It's a big flashing green light to go full production with the traitor lines. And look, of course, you could argue it wasn't a slip of the tongue by Guilliman, or poorly worded. That maybe Guilliman was in fact telling Cawl it's okay, without telling him it's okay, if you know what I mean. However, I really don't think that's the case. I think Guilliman is just desperate to get over the rift and get to work, to save the other half of the Imperium. And he just needs more Marines. So he's just saying, I don't care how you do it, just get me them. He's already told Cawl categorically, no experiments with the traitor lines. And so it wouldn't even go into his head for a split second that Cawl could use that phrase to defy him again. However, maybe it should have. Maybe, like Belisarius said, this is Guilliman being a bit naive here. Because I absolutely think that this could be exploited by Cawl, and I think it will be. I really won't be surprised now if we begin to see new Marines in Guilliman's next crusade, bearing little characteristics in common with those original legions of old. Chapters, who, like the Sons of the Phoenix, bear a little tease in their name or heraldry. I mean, just imagine it. Guilliman coming across an unnumbered Sun Marine amongst his ranks, who bears a striking resemblance to, say, Horus Lupercal, a bloodline that, let's not forget, was famous for having sons that looked just like him. I mean, how on earth would Guilliman react to that? Or seeing the unmistakable characteristics of Conrad? Or maybe simply coming across a chapter's name in a report, smuggled amongst the hundreds. Sentinels of the Pale King, Wolves of Cophonia, Sons of Iron, Heralds of the Horizon. Who knows? And then noticing more and more, smuggled within the hundreds of names. The fact is, once Cawl goes through with it, on a larger scale, outside a simple experiment of maybe a single chapter, it will be noticed eventually by Guilliman. Or heck, maybe even by Lion L. Johnson, who of course Belisarius at this point has no idea has returned. Just imagine that, the Lion finding out Primaris have Traitor Geneseed amongst them, say Conrad or Horus's. You don't think L. Johnson would go absolutely apocalyptic at that? Oh, he absolutely would. He might be old, but he's still the same lion within, possessing the same absolute dedication to his father. And there's a good chance that he'd blame Guilliman for it as well, believing that he has allowed it. But either way, there are going to be things that eventually Guilliman may come to notice, and one where Cawl will use Guilliman's own words as his excuse for why he has continued to use the Traitor Geneseed. I care not to the methods, only for the result. And so those are words that may truly come back to haunt Guilliman in the very near future. But as always everyone, what do you think? Could the Lord Commander come to regret making that statement? Is it the kind of thing that Belisarius would absolutely seize upon? And do you think he will indeed now churn out Traitor Geneseed Marines now that he has an excuse? Or do you even think that Guilliman knew exactly what he was doing by phrasing it the way he did? That perhaps he has become so desperate He's willing to turn a blind eye to get the results he needs. As always, everyone, leave your thoughts in the comments below. A huge thank you to all my subscribers. Your support truly means a lot to me, it really does. If you're new, please consider subscribing to help the channel grow. And if you enjoyed this particular vid, then why not drop a like on it too. But with that said, I am off, and I'll see you all again real soon.